Have you ever stopped to think about how someone can be too good to survive? It sounds counterintuitive, but Ali Abdul's story in Squid Game proves exactly that. He trusted, helped, and believed in people who should never have received his loyalty, and he paid a price that many of us fear to face. But there is a lesson hidden in that suffering. It teaches us about courage, humanity, and choices, and shows how we can navigate a world that often punishes those who still believe in goodness. You will discover in this video how kindness can be a powerful weapon and how to learn from it without losing yourself. If you are a fan of cinema and psychology and want to understand the mind behind your favorite character, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any video. But first, comment below which character you want me to analyze here on the channel. Now, let's go to the video. Ali Abdul is the kind of character who arrives quietly but leaves a deep mark. A Pakistani immigrant trying to survive in South Korea. He represents thousands of invisible people who carry the world on their backs without being seen. Tireless worker, kind by nature, and with a heart bigger than the game he got himself into. When we meet him, it's impossible not to feel sympathy. That shy look mixed with hope and fear seems to say more than any words. It's as if he were a living reminder that kindness still exists even in the darkest places. But behind that sweetness, there is something more complex. Ali is the portrait of innocence thrown into a board of brutality. He does not fully understand the rules, neither of the game nor of the society he lives in. He works hard, does everything right, and yet is betrayed by the system. It's almost ironic, isn't it? In a world that rewards cleverness and manipulation, Ali believes that goodness still has space. Maybe that's why he stands out so much, not for being the strongest, but for being the most human among the monsters. And it is exactly that humanity that makes him dangerous in that environment. Purity, in the midst of savagery, is almost a sentence. He trusts, believes, and gives himself, and that paradoxically puts him at risk, because Squid Game is not about who is good or bad. It's about who is willing to go beyond their own soul to win. And Ali, he was not born to step on anyone. He just wanted to live with dignity, pay the bills, and take care of his family. A simple dream, but for him, almost impossible. When the series introduces Ali, we see more than a supporting character. He is a mirror of something we have all felt. The feeling of desperately fighting to be seen in a world that seems to have forgotten the value of empathy. How many times have you done your best and still felt that it wasn't enough? Ali is that feeling turned into flesh, sweat, and hope. And that's precisely why his presence touches so deeply, because he represents what many try to hide, the vulnerability of those who still believe. And there is something profoundly beautiful and painful about that. Watching Ali smile, helping others, believing in a goodness that the world has already given up on is like watching a candle trying to light up a hurricane. He is a reminder that a pure heart doesn't guarantee protection. Ali lives as if the world were fair, but the game will teach him otherwise. And when that clash of realities happens, that's when the real drama begins to unfold. Ali's humble origin also makes us think about how the system shapes people's destinies. He is not poor for lack of effort, quite the opposite. He works, dedicates himself, sacrifices everything, and yet the world pushes him to the margins. That creates a silent pain, a frustration that few can understand. It's the kind of pain that doesn't scream but slowly eats away, turning hope into resistance. And resistance, in places like that, is a form of survival. Still, even with everything against him, he doesn't lose the sparkle in his eyes. There is something almost childlike in the way he believes in people, in the way he thanks for small things, as if life could still be kind. And it's exactly that belief that makes him so loved and so vulnerable. Because deep down, Ali is that friend you know will always help you, even if it costs him dearly. And we know the world loves to exploit people like that. And when we put that innocence inside a game where only one can survive, the result is devastating. Ali will find out in the worst possible way that not all kindness is rewarded and that trusting can be the same as condemning yourself. And that's where his first conflict begins to take shape, the one that mixes gratitude, hope, and the fear of losing everything. Internal conflicts and traumas, the struggle for survival, and the weight of gratitude. Ali lives in constant tension between the need to survive and the desire to remain good. Deep down, he is not a player, he is a survivor of life even before entering the game. That moment when he holds the money he should have received from his boss is a powerful symbol. A hardworking man, exploited and ignored, finally raising his voice. But his gaze is not of anger, it's of despair. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, he just wants the bare minimum that was denied to him. And that's the point. Ali doesn't fight for ambition, he fights for dignity. The most curious thing is how gratitude mixes with that survival instinct. When Ji-hun helps him at the beginning, Ali sees him almost as a savior. And, in a way, that relationship defines everything that will come next. He begins to act not only for himself, but out of loyalty. And that, in an environment where empathy is a weakness, becomes dangerous. Gratitude becomes an invisible chain, tying Ali to anyone who showed him a bit of humanity. He confuses help with alliance, kindness with safety. And that's where the first sign of tragedy appears. There is something deeply human in that. Who has never held on to someone just because, at some point, that person reached out when no one else did. Ali carries that gratitude like an emotional debt. It's almost as if he were saying, "I owe you my life." But the problem is that in Squid Game, no one can owe anything to anyone. Every favor has a price. And every trust a consequence. The kindness that saves one day can be the one that condemns you the next. He tries to survive without losing his essence, and that is a fight few can win. While others begin to accept the game as a reflection of reality. Cruel, unequal, competitive, Ali still insists on believing in true alliances. And that internal resistance is what makes him as admirable as he is tragic. Because, in his eagerness to repay, he becomes vulnerable. Gratitude blinds him, and loyalty prevents him from seeing danger. It's as if his heart were fighting against the very logic of survival. And maybe that's the most painful part, seeing someone who deserves the world being swallowed by it. Ali doesn't understand that. In that context, kindness and survival don't fit in the same sentence. He believes he can balance both, help and win. But the game will show that sometimes living means sacrificing parts of yourself. With each challenge, he is tested not only physically, but morally. And it's in that internal conflict that his humanity begins to erode, even if he doesn't realize it yet. There is a cruel irony in the fact that the same empathy that makes him special is what puts him at risk. It's like trying to swim with an anchor tied to your chest. He wants to do what's right, but right doesn't pay the bills, doesn't guarantee food, doesn't protect who you love. It's the kind of dilemma many people face outside the game when they have to choose between staying true to their values or doing what's necessary to survive. And in Ali's case, that choice is not just symbolic, it's literal. The weight of gratitude also turns him into an almost childlike character. He believes that if he does good, good will come back, that honesty still has a place even when everything around is a lie. That faith in others is beautiful but also dangerous, and perhaps the most tragic thing is realizing that he's not prepared for the shattering of that illusion. Because when the world betrays you, it's one thing, but when someone you trust stabs you in the back, it's something that forever changes how you see humanity. And that breaking point is about to happen. Ali doesn't know it yet, but the game will not only test his strength or courage, it will test how much of his own soul he's willing to lose to survive. The next step in his journey won't be against other players, but against his own naivety, the part of him that believes too much, and that's exactly where the second conflict begins to emerge, bringing a pain much deeper than any physical wound. Naivety and blind trust. Ali Abdul is the kind of person who believes in the best of others until the very last second, and that's exactly what destroys him. His naivety is not foolishness, it's purity in a world that has already forgotten what that means. He trusts because he sees in others the reflection of his own goodness. And that's the most human mistake of all. To believe that others feel the same as you. Ali sees companions where there are competitors, friends where there are only survivors. And, like so many in real life, he pays the price for expecting reciprocity where there is only interest. That blind trust comes from a heart that never learned to doubt. He doesn't have the malice of the modern world. He never learned to read between the lines, to distrust smiles, to notice hidden intentions. When Sang-woo welcomes him and promises to help, Ali follows without question. For him, loyalty is simple. If someone helps you, you help them back. But in the game, that logic doesn't hold. It's like trusting a broken mirror. No matter how beautiful the reflection, there will always be cracks distorting the image. Ali's naivety is moving because it's born from hope. He's not naive from lack of intelligence, but from an excess of faith. And that says a lot about how social trauma shaped him. Living under constant exploitation made him believe that goodness was the only possible way out. It's as if he were saying, if I keep being good, maybe the world will finally be good to me. It's a desperate attempt to find meaning in chaos, and that's why so many people identify with him, because deep down, who hasn't wanted to believe that good still wins? But blind trust is a double-edged sword. It gives you lightness until the day it cuts. In Ali's case, the tragedy lies in his inability to see selfishness disguised as friendship. He doesn't notice Sang-woo's subtle manipulations, the gestures that look like affection but are actually calculation. And the cruelest part is that this dynamic is so real it hurts. How many times has someone used you under the pretext of helping you? How many times has your innocence been mistaken for weakness? Ali reminds us of those wounds we prefer to forget. There's an almost symbolic moment in the series when Ali holds the marbles in his hand, believing he still has a chance. The scene is devastating because it's not just about the game. It's about all the times we've believed in empty promises, in people who never intended to stay. He's not just holding the marbles, but his faith in humanity. And when he realizes he's been deceived, it's as if he loses more than a round, he loses his entire worldview. And for someone like him, that's the worst death possible. His trust is almost childlike, and maybe that's why the audience falls so deeply for him. There's something pure about someone who believes without restraint. But purity is a dangerous luxury in a world driven by greed. Ali believes he can be loved the same way he loves, and that makes him vulnerable. He represents that kind of person who, even after being hurt, still says, maybe this time it'll be different. But the game and life rarely give second chances to those who trust too much. And what's most curious is that Ali isn't the only one like that. He just reflects a part of us that still believes the world is fair. Every time we see him smile, we feel a pang of pain because we know what's coming. We know he's going to be betrayed, and yet we root for the story to change, for him to escape. But he doesn't because, symbolically, no one escapes their own naivety until it hurts enough to become wisdom. And when that pain finally arrives, it changes everything. Ali's faith will be broken, and the world will stop being the place he imagined. What comes next won't just be a survival game, but a brutal deconstruction of who he is inside. And it's in that abyss that the third conflict is born, the moment he realizes that justice and kindness don't walk hand in hand, and that maybe being good, in that context, is the same as losing. The illusion of justice and the price of kindness. Ali's tragedy is that he believes in a fair world, and that's the first step toward deep disappointment. He truly thinks that if he does the right thing, things will turn out right. But Squid Game is a cruel metaphor for real life. Not everyone who deserves to win does, and not everyone who wins deserves to. It's a game where merit is an illusion, and human value is measured by what you can offer, not by who you are. Ali hasn't understood that yet, and that's exactly why his fall will be so painful. He believes that justice exists within people, that acting honestly will make the universe respond in kind. But the game has no morality. It reflects a system where money defines who's right. And perhaps the most devastating part is how he tries to apply moral rules in a world without ethics. It's like playing chess while trying to talk to the pieces. No one will listen. Ali's kindness is a cry in the void, and the silence of the world is what makes it so tragic. This belief in justice also blinds him to nuances. He's the kind of person who believes right and wrong are absolutes, but the game is made of gray zones. When Sang-woo deceives him, Ali doesn't see malice. He sees logic, because in his mind, no one could be cruel on purpose. And this contrast between innocence and reality reveals the true horror of the series. It's not about monsters hiding in the shadows, it's about ordinary people doing whatever it takes not to die. And the price of kindness, that's the hardest blow. Being good in the context of Squid Game is almost a death sentence. Kindness requires trust, empathy, and vulnerability. 3 things that make you weak in a predatory environment. The game is built to punish those who feel, and Ali feels everything. He can't be cold, can't calculate, can't manipulate. He acts from the heart, and the heart on that battlefield is an easy target. He doesn't lose because he's stupid. He loses because he's human, but this kind of loss is different. When Ali is deceived, it is not only the body that falls, it is the soul that shatters. He realizes that the world does not work according to the rules he believed in. And this realization is universal. Who has never been disappointed by someone who swore to be fair? who has never done good expecting the minimum recognition and received silence in return. Ali's pain is the pain of everyone who has ever been used for being too kind. And the worst part is that he does not understand why. He does not see the evil coming, he only feels the impact. Justice for Ali has always been an almost spiritual concept. He believed that what is right would prevail, as if morality were a natural law. But the game and life show the opposite. The world rewards those who play better, not those who play fair. And this creates an internal fracture. He begins to doubt not only others, but also himself. Is it worth continuing to be good in a place that only understands the language of violence? It is a question that echoes in anyone who has ever had their heart broken trying to do the right thing. There is a kind of purity that the world does not tolerate. And Ali embodies exactly that. The man who believes in justice until it destroys him. He does not fight only for money, but for an idea. The idea that the world can still be fair, that people can still be good. And watching that idea die is like watching a flame being extinguished inside him. It is painful because, deep down, we know it is real. How many good people have you seen being swallowed by a system that does not reward character? And when that flame goes out, what remains is emptiness, an inner silence that prepares the ground for the next conflict. The dilemma between loyalty and self-preservation, because after justice reveals itself as an illusion, the question changes. Is it worth remaining loyal to others, or is it finally time to start being loyal to yourself? The dilemma between loyalty and self-preservation, Ali Abdul faces one of life's most universal conflicts. How far do you remain loyal to others? And when do you start thinking about yourself? He carries loyalty like a second skin. It is part of who he is, as natural as breathing, but in Squid Game, that loyalty is tested in brutal ways. Every choice involves the risk of death. Every gesture of help can mean his own loss. And that is when he discovers that surviving does not always align with being good. Loyalty becomes a weight that threatens to crush his very essence. It is striking how Ali does not want to hurt anyone, even when he knows he has to. He believes he can protect his friends and still save himself, that he can balance altruism and self-preservation. But the world does not work that way. He learns in the worst way that many times there is only room for impossible choices. It is like trying to cross a bridge that collapses beneath your feet. You can try to save someone, but maybe you will be the one to fall first, and that is a lesson that hurts deeply. At the same time, Ali's internal struggle makes us reflect on our own limits. How many times have we tried to be loyal and ended up hurting ourselves? How many times have we sacrificed for someone who, deep down, only wanted to survive for themselves? Ali puts us face to face with this cruel reality. Being faithful to others is beautiful, but it can also come at a high cost. It is a metaphor for daily life. In life, we cannot always carry everyone at once. Choices must be made, and they always leave scars. The dilemma intensifies when he begins to realize that not everyone deserves trust. Each player has their own priorities, and altruism is not a currency. Ali feels this contradiction within himself. He wants to be good, but he wants to live. This duality creates a permanent tension, a battle between heart and survival instinct. And it is exactly that battle that makes him so real and relatable, who has never had to choose between protecting someone and protecting themselves. This tension shapes his actions in subtle but powerful ways. He does not become cold, but learns to measure risks, to weigh every gesture of loyalty. It is a painful lesson. To survive, he must reassess concepts that once seemed unshakable. Altruism is no longer absolute. Kindness needs boundaries, and that is where we see his inner transformation. It is not a loss of character, but a maturity forged by the fire of experience. Ali is beginning to understand the brutal reality of the world he lives in. The dilemma also reveals the strength of Ali's empathy. Even in the face of danger, he keeps trying to help, but now with caution, with awareness of the price each choice might bring. It is a delicate dance between heart and mind, between loyalty and self-preservation. And in this process, he teaches us something valuable. That balance between the two is the only way to survive without completely losing yourself. It is a hard but necessary lesson, and even then, he does not lose his essence. Kindness still beats within him, even if he has learned to protect it. Every gesture is now calculated, but not cold. Conscious, yet still human. He discovers that he can survive without completely giving up who he is. And that discovery is not only about the game, it is about life. because all of us, at some point, must decide how far we will go for others and how far we will go for ourselves. And it is precisely this dilemma that sets the stage for the next chapter of his analysis. How all these conflicts shape his personality and his final choices. Ali is not just a survivor of the game, he is a living study of how extreme experiences transform values, beliefs, and behavior. And this transformation, as we will see, is as profound as it is emotional. All the conflicts Ali faces, naivety, gratitude, blind trust, loyalty, intertwine to shape a complex and memorable personality. He is not simply good or weak. He is resilient, compassionate, and strategic, even if that comes in an almost unconscious way. Every painful experience pushes him to grow, to reflect, and to adapt his behavior. He learns, step by step, that survival requires emotional intelligence, not just physical strength. And it is in that journey that the beauty of his character is revealed. What stands out most about Ali is how he maintains empathy even when everything around him screams to abandon it. He does not harden completely. He learns to protect his heart without disconnecting from humanity. This is a skill many of us underestimate, surviving without losing our essence. He is living proof that it is possible to create a delicate balance between being firm and remaining good. And that combination is what makes him unique in the game and inspiring outside of it. Ali's initial naivety gives way to a clearer perception of the world. He learns to recognize signs of betrayal, manipulation, and danger, but without becoming cynical. He understands that kindness is a powerful weapon as long as it is used consciously. This maturity does not appear suddenly. It is built with every choice and every blow of fate. And it is precisely this gradual construction that creates such a rich narrative, because we can see every lesson reflected in his actions, making his journey tangible and real. Another important point is how gratitude shapes his relationships. Ali realizes that trust and reciprocity are essential, but that discernment is also necessary. He learns that loyalty cannot be blind and that protecting yourself is not selfishness, but survival. These lessons, though painful, strengthen his personality. He does not abandon his moral compass. He simply learns to navigate between kindness and caution. And it is exactly that balance that makes us root for him, even when the odds are against him. The game's extreme experience also awakens in him a quiet courage. He does not need to shout or assert himself to show strength. His courage manifests in small choices, protective gestures, and difficult decisions. It is a courage born from the heart, from the will to survive without betraying his principles. And it is this courage that makes his story so captivating because it resonates with anyone who has ever faced moral dilemmas in real-life situations. Furthermore, the internal conflicts teach Ali how to deal with frustration and injustice. He realizes that the world does not always reward effort or kindness, but that it is still worth trying. This emotional resilience becomes a pillar of his personality and is what sustains his humanity amid chaos. He shows us that strength does not lie in being ruthless, but in persisting without losing your essence. And that lesson is something many of us forget amid adversity. Another trait that emerges is strategic empathy. He learns to help without completely sacrificing himself, to support without losing himself, and to trust without giving everything away. It is a subtle but profound evolution that transforms the way he interacts with the world. Ali becomes a figure who understands the value of kindness, but also its price. And it is this combination of purity and wisdom that keeps us connected to his story, because we see in him a reflection of our own ethical and emotional dilemmas. And finally, all these factors together create a memorable and impactful personality. Ali is more than a player. He is a study of character, a demonstration of how extreme challenges can shape, refine, and strengthen who we are. He teaches us that it is possible to survive, learn, and maintain humanity even in the most cruel environments. And it is at this point that we approach the next topic: what he teaches us about the real world and how his choices reflect our own lives. Ali Abdul reminds us that kindness and justice do not always walk together, but that they are still worth keeping. He teaches us that the world is unfair, that good people can be exploited, but that this should not erase our capacity for empathy. Real life, like Squid Game, often tests our faith in people, but unlike the game, we still have the chance to learn from each mistake. Ali shows us that keeping principles is difficult, but that this choice is what distinguishes and humanizes us. Another powerful lesson is about gratitude and loyalty. Ali demonstrates that helping others, even without expecting anything in return, is a way of affirming our humanity. However, he also teaches how to balance that with self-preservation. In the real world, this translates to knowing when to reach out a hand and when to protect yourself. It is a fine line between generosity and vulnerability, and Ali makes us reflect on how to draw it in our own lives. He also teaches us about trust and discernment. His naivety makes us realize the value of being cautious without becoming cynical. Trusting is essential to life, but it is necessary to learn to read signs, understand intentions, and act consciously. Ali shows us that it is possible to keep faith in people, but in a balanced way, without becoming easy prey to the malice of others. It is a lesson that transcends the game and applies to any human relationship. Furthermore, Ali shows us the strength of emotional resilience. Despite disappointments and betrayals, he does not lose his essence. He keeps trying, adjusting his choices, and learning from each experience. In real life, this translates to facing challenges without becoming hardened or losing humanity. Resilience is not only about surviving, but about evolving internally, and Ali gives us a living example of that. He inspires us to persist even when everything seems to conspire against us. Another point is the importance of balance between altruism and self-preservation. Ali learns that being good does not mean destroying yourself for others. This is a valuable lesson for the real world, where we often sacrifice too much in the name of others. He teaches us that it is possible to help without losing yourself, that it is necessary to protect yourself to continue being useful to those we love. It is a teaching that touches the lives of everyone who has ever had to make difficult choices between the I and the we. He also makes us reflect on how we react in the face of injustice. Instead of becoming bitter or cynical, Ali learns to adapt, to read the game, and to act more strategically. In the real world, this is an essential skill, knowing that not everything is fair, yet still finding ways to maintain our integrity and protect those who matter. He teaches us that maturity comes from the awareness of the world's harshness without losing the sensitivity that makes us human. Ali also reminds us of the importance of silent courage. It is not necessary to shout or dominate to be strong. His courage manifests in small actions, in ethical choices, in trying to help even when it is risky. In everyday life, courage is staying true to yourself and your values, even when no one is watching or when the system seems unfair. He shows us that true strength lies in moral persistence, not in momentary victory. And finally, Ali teaches us about shared humanity. Every suffering, every act of kindness, every difficult choice connects us as human beings. He makes us reflect on our own actions and decisions, reminding us that even in a cruel world, we can still choose to be empathetic and just. So, what did you think of Ali Abdul's story? Did you manage to identify with his dilemmas or notice something new about the way we deal with trust, loyalty, and kindness? Tell us in the comments which character you would like us to analyze. In the next video, we want to know which story will move you the most. And if you want to keep learning about complex characters like Ali, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. That way, you won't miss any deep analysis that will transform the way you see series and movies.